And so, welcome everyone to the fourth Lead IT online discussion. Very glad all of you are on here. Um, we've got one new member I know of, Edgar Vanterpool, who I had a conversation with earlier this evening. Very impressed with his background. And since I see Edgar, and this pertains to many of you. Um, I've seen your resumes, and you guys have a wealth of expertise. Um, there is a break between, or a chasm between, the way companies and institutions in general, because a lot of times they're not corporations, they're public sector entities, are identifying potential candidates and the actual pool of candidates that are out there. So to restate that, there's a tremendous amount of talent out there that's just going to waste, and a tremendous amount of potential. I mean, people who already have experience. Now, this program is for people without experience as well as people that have experience. We're for everybody. Anybody, if you want a job in IT and you're over 16 years old and have a high school equivalency, diploma or equivalency, you qualify for this program, whoever you are. But there are people that really, really are ready to go to work now. Tonight is basically going to be Q&A. It's our last meeting of this year. We won't meet next year out of respect for the holiday. It's just going to be Q&A. We've got a couple of my fellow instructors on the phone, so I'm going to give each one of them an opportunity to share a couple of minutes with you about what they're doing, their take on the progress of the project. So first, I'd like to introduce Mike Myers, who is a partner in a firm we work with called Mentor Services. Mike is in Goldsboro, North Carolina. His partner is in another part of the country, and their core competency is training in the IT space. Mike, if that's a mischaracterization, correct me, but that's their core competency, is the development of training materials and the delivery of those materials in the IT space. I've been knowing Mike for a long time, probably over 10 years now, and met him, I met him the way I meet a lot of people, we just cross paths. But his initial engagement with me was as a system support. Mike was a long-term IBM employee, systems programmer at IBM for 33 years, Mike?
Yeah, 20 years.
20 years. High level of expertise, very interesting career. And maybe Mike minds me saying this, but I hope he doesn't. Mike doesn't have a college degree. Now, I will admit that he was in a very distinguished program at Syracuse University. It was Syracuse, right, Mike?
Right.
In math, right? And was on target to graduate. But life happens, and he had to defer his education for a variety of reasons. Went to the military, et cetera, and it just ended up never really needing to complete his degree to make a really good living and have a great career. So I'm not encouraging people not to get a degree, but I want to be clear. I'm not encouraging not to get a degree because I teach at a university, so without students, I don't have a job. But I certainly don't. I want you to understand that if you don't have a college degree and have no interest in pursuing a college degree, that doesn't disqualify you from a career in IT. And it may be that you don't have a degree now, but you get a job and you decide to go later. But this is not a degree-based program; it's competency-based program. So before I ramble on too much, because everybody knows that I can ramble, I'm going to turn it over to Mike for a couple of minutes for him to share his thoughts. Mike, it's all yours.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I was with IBM for 20 years. I did have some significant advantages there. As you say, I did not have a college degree. I worked on a little bit while I was working for IBM, but some of the things I was involved with kind of interrupted some of that. For example, I was a member of the team that designed MVS. I was a member of the team that designed VMXA in that 20-year period. So that kept me kind of busy. And I left IBM after 20 years. It was back in 1984, and went into consulting. I just actually got tired of being moved in areas that did not use my technical skills. I was offered positions of management, never took them. Managed to get positions that were equivalent to management, but on the technical side of the business, and wound up on something I eventually called the project from hell, which I won't remember describing, and that motivated me to leave. There were a lot of ads in the New York Times at that point, looking for people who would do real work on mainframes as consultants. And so I started my consultancy with a trip into New York City, did some interviews, and wound up with for about 7 years doing work for organizations like the Morgan Bank, the Bank of Tokyo, Pratt and Whitney, and some other big names as you've heard of, doing fun stuff as a systems programmer, developing and inventing new things, which is one of the wonderful parts I think about being a programmer, is that I see myself and programming as sort of it's a creative skill, and it's highly technical and interesting. The challenges with it is it's constantly changing. Tom Peters, the management consultant, wrote a book once called Thriving on Chaos, and I believe that's sort of you have that particular mental set that mainframe systems, or actually IT probably in general today, is a place to really keep you excited because things are constantly changing. In 1991, I decided to, because I had enjoyed the training that I was doing both at IBM and in the military and elsewhere during the consulting period, was to start a company, Mentor Services, which primarily allowed me the opportunity to be able to spend a good part of my time writing courses and training them to Fortune 500 companies around the country, and then intermixing that with occasional consulting assignments. The beauty of that was, oftentimes I would wind up having to learn something entirely new to do the consulting assignment, and so I figured I could use that in my education business. I would write a course about what I learned to do the whatever project I was involved with when I picked up a new product, and then went out and added that to the curriculum that Mentor Services offered. So all in all, I've probably put together about 35 courses that I've written and taught all of them, plus some others that work for us have written as well. It's been a really good ride. Getting involved with Cameron 7 or 8 years ago was really thick, because I got a chance to work with the system that he had and maintain it remotely. So it's a heck of a ride. It's a lot of fun, and I recommend mainframes to anybody out there, or IT, but mainframes in particular, to anybody out there. They're not going away. They haven't gone away. There was a rumor back in the 90s that they were going to go away. Look now, and you'll find that they're out there, and now they're doing things in artificial intelligence, things in the cloud, areas of what's the thing that Bitcoin uses, Hyperledger, and the rest.
Blockchain.
Right. So there's my story. This is a great place to be going, and like I say, I've been doing it since 1964, and still enjoy doing it, and still continue. And so there's an opportunity for a career for a lot of you folks out there to do the same thing, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah. No, Mike, thank you so much, and it's always been a pleasure to work with you these many years, and it's a pleasure what we're doing now. So a couple of things about what Mike said. Now, I didn't know about the MVS thing. I didn't know you were part of the MVS design team. So those of you that don't know what MVS is an earlier version of the big boy operating system on a mainframe. So mainframes run, most of you know what an operating system is. Operating system is the basic system software that runs the computer, allows the computer to interact with people. And mainframe runs several operating systems natively. MVS is one of those, but it's the big boy system because it does the bulk of it. It does everything with virtualization. And MVS was an earlier version of that. So I am, one thing about mainframe people, one of the benefits of being in this space is that you run into people like Mike, and these are some of the brightest people on the planet. The things they can do with this technology are incredible. And Mike is absolutely right. Mainframes aren't going anywhere. Once you learn more about them, you'll understand why that is the case, why anybody that tells you that the mainframe is going to be replaced is a fool. Now I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't be ugly about it. They just don't understand the technology because it's very sophisticated, but it's not going anywhere. Take blockchain, for example. There's nothing newer or hotter than blockchain today, right? Well, guess where blockchain runs best? On a mainframe. Why? Because blockchain is transaction based. Mm-hmm. What does mainframe do better than anybody else? Transactions. So those are the things that you find out. And this new buzzword that everybody's had for a few years called cloud computing, right? Everybody know I've heard about cloud computing. Well, if you define cloud computing, and you can define it accurately as I am physically in one location and the computing resources I'm using are in another location. I've been doing cloud computing since 1965, right? So nothing's new. Big data. Everybody's familiar with the term big data? New fancy buzzword. All data to IBM is big data. If it's not big data, it doesn't belong on the mainframe. So they've been doing big data since the mid-60s also. So one of the things that I really want you guys to understand is everything you do on a computer today, from smartphones to texting to Facebook, all this stuff. And I have no hostility toward modern technology because I know where it comes from. All of it comes from big iron and big iron concepts. That's what we call mainframe, big iron concepts. All of it does. And you understanding big iron helps you function in the modern IT society better, okay? I'd like to turn over now to my colleague, Karen Jackson, who is on faculty with me at North Carolina A&T. She's in another college. She's in the College of Education. I'm in the College of Science and Technology. But Karen was part of the initial project and part of their team, remains part of their team today. So Karen.
Hey, Cam. Thank you. So our audience, I'm imagining, is folks that are potentially looking for work in the IT space specific to mainframe. So I'll just kind of share a little bit of my current role in this particular space. I am not an IT person. My background is in research and policy, and I teach research design and I teach quantitative research methods. But as a part of being in this space, in order to continue to keep the groups that we are interested in keeping at the forefront of this space in order to position you guys for jobs, my role is kind of morphed into just accepting opportunities to talk about groups that are in some cases underrepresented in IT and mainframe. So what I have to share tonight is hopefully some encouragement to those of you guys that are in the either training mode or you've got the training you need and you're just waiting to be positioned for an actual job. I was invited to go to DC last week. Goodwill Industries was holding an accelerator for IT jobs. So Goodwill Industries, and of course there's Goodwill in just about everybody's backyard or neighborhood. So this is a national project that they have been awarded from Google. And Google has tasked Goodwill with development as well as dissemination of different levels of training to train underrepresented groups in preparation for moving into the IT workforce. So I had a lot of good conversations last week. I've had some continued conversations with some folks in Charlotte that represent the Goodwill Industries Incorporated in the state of North Carolina. And they are wanting to definitely connect with us so that just from the standpoint of awareness, that there is skills training going on in other areas. If you have a Goodwill Industries in your backyard, you might want to tap in to them to find out what resources you might be able to tap into right in your backyard. Like I said, I know everybody can probably reach out to a Goodwill just about anywhere in the nation. So that's kind of what I have to share. And I'm open to any questions that people have about
that. Thanks, Karen. We'll have an open Q&A momentarily.
Sure.
Couple things I'd like to add or modify to what Karen said. Well, our focus is mainframe because people want. Now I see several people on the call who told me I only want a mainframe job, Cameron. I don't want anything else but a mainframe, and that's fine. That's music to my ears. Okay, but we are not exclusively mainframe. We're mainframe first, but these jobs that I'm going to talk about tonight at BB&T are not really mainframe jobs. Now, of course, they don't pay as much, right? Because mainframe people make the biggest money. And I think those of you that were on the call last week, we've crossed the 90K starting salary. We have a couple of students that are starting with a large global bank. And I think the girl is 22 and the guy's 23. They're starting at $92,000 a year, right? With undergraduate degrees. No previous experience. Now, both of them did internships last summer, and at the end of the internship, they were hired. But that's the first thing. So we are mainframe first, but we are IT across the board. Also, about our focus. So our project began as with a focus on when we were funded by the Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Labor. We began with a focus on underrepresented minorities, women, veterans, and people with disabilities. But we have never been exclusively that. But now the program is whoever comes up. I mean, whoever comes up. There happen to be a lot of African Americans because I teach at the HBCU, and I'm African American myself, and I have contacts in the African American community. So that's where we look because certain groups have just been left out for a variety of reasons, exposure, whatever. But whoever wants this, and I know I have several people on the call that are not African American and aren't in an underrepresented group, but they're welcome. I mean, this is about whoever's hungry. That's what this is for. Are you hungry? Do you want to make decent money? Do you want to have interesting work? So that's who this program is for, and that's what this program does. Earlier tonight, I was talking to Edgar, and he asked me, so, well, what is it that you guys want to do? And simply put, to put it in one sentence, we want to put people in IT jobs. Bottom line, that's what we want to do. Now we can go into the specifics, mainframe, etc. We want people in IT jobs because there are a lot of IT jobs that are going lacking now, and there are a lot of you on the call, and there are a lot of folks out there who have either or both of the motivation needed, because all mainframe, but all IT takes is motivation to learn the stuff. It doesn't take any particular intellectual endowment. You will happen to run into a lot of bright people in IT because IT attracts bright people, right? It's a good place for bright people to be, but it doesn't require any special intellectual ability to do IT. You just got to want it. It's got to be something you want to do. Now, everybody doesn't want to do IT. And there are a lot of bright people who want to do stuff other than IT. And that's fine. But if you want an IT job, this is a good place for you. Let me move on to talking about the BB&T job specifically. So BB&T is bringing on apprentices. And they're starting out slowly. And I like doable first steps, right? You take first steps. Somebody emailed me today that they were they had completed part one of mastering the mainframe, and they were saying, well, I know it's really no big deal, and I said, nah, do not minimize that accomplishment. You guys are on a journey that I think you will find fascinating over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I found it amazing. To see where we are today in IT, the things that we can do. Old heads like Mike and myself, long of tooth people, right? We know where this stuff, we know how far we've come. And what we can, and it's kind of scary to think what we're going to be doing 10 or 15 years from now. So, but the journey begins with one step. The journey begins with one step, and it goes one step at a time. And the thing I like about this program, it doesn't matter where you are on that spectrum of knowledge, skills, and abilities. It doesn't matter, right? If you are at the higher end of it, you're ready to start further down the road. But if you're at the lower end of it, that's fine. You know, that's fine. It means you have further to go, but it's okay. What else are you going to be doing, right? You're going to be another year older next year, no matter what you do. So you might as well build your skills over this year until you're ready to be placed. So BB&T has some apprentices. So they're starting out with one Linux Unix job, right? And the decision maker for this position told me that he wants an apprentice in this position. Now, there's no guarantee that position is going to go to an apprentice, right? But the probability is very high because the candidates that I've seen resumes from several of them. Many of you send resumes, and the resumes are all good. They're well prepared. The background is sufficient, even though it's not technical. You know, a few of the people don't have any IT experience at all, but they've done other things. They've done some project management. They've done some professional level jobs. One person ran like this nonprofit, was a senior executive in this nonprofit. So all that stuff counts. Any experience you have counts toward IT. And a couple of them really actually have some IT experience. So the exact criteria they're going to use to make this position, and I sent this job description out, but I'll send it out again. Well, you know, I put it to the bulletin board. Let's cover the bulletin board when we come to it. The forum rather, when we come to it. That's another issue. But that's BB&T. Now, there are another 12 to 15 jobs that are going to be posted after the first of the year. These jobs are network administrators, right? And BB&T is a very tech-savvy company. So these positions will allow you to at least get your foot in the door. And then probably starting late spring or early summer, there are going to be another 50 of these jobs available. And the plan is for them to bring many jobs. I don't want to attach a number to it because BB&T hasn't attached a number to it. But it could potentially be several hundred jobs. Because you got to understand how much of this stuff is out there. I mean, they have literally hundreds of jobs that are offshore now that they have to move, or they plan to move back domestically for a lot of statutory reasons, et cetera, et cetera. So there's going to be a lot of work. That's not even talking about the mainframe jobs. I spoke with IBM last week, my IBM contact, who is their point person for their mainframe apprenticeship program. And he said that they are in the final stages of finalizing what he calls the employer agreement with the companies, right? The employer agreement for apprenticeships, for registered apprenticeships. And once that's done, all the company has to do is take the employer agreement off the shelf and deploy it to their company, and they're up and running to bring on apprentices. And you're talking about IBM's 2,000 to 3,000 customer base, right? All of them have the same problem. All of their mainframe people are in their 50s, 60s, sometimes 70s. They're eligible for retirement either now or shortly, and there's nobody to replace them. Why? Because mainframe is not in the colleges. It's not in the colleges. And there are a lot of reasons for that. We won't go into the reasons on the call tonight. There are a lot of reasons for it, but they're just not. It's at A&T. And surprisingly, my students have absolutely no problem finding work. On average, they have at least 2 to 3 job offers, some more, a few less. 2 to 3 job offers at graduation. I would ask if you okay, I can do that. I can do that myself. No problem. So that's where we are with the job situation. What else do I have on my list? Oh yeah, I want to add this about Mike. Mike's company has developed some excellent training materials that we're going to deploy. He sent me a module today. That's an introduction to IT for people that are starting from ground zero in IT. And it gives background. It's a very information rich package. So I will deploy that in short order. Lindsay Edwards, Mike's partner, or my colleague at Mentor Services, has developed one specifically for the mainframe. And Lindsay is a long-term systems programmer. Systems programmer is the quarterback of the mainframe world. He or she calls the signals, the mainframe world, and very, very desirable job. And Lindsay was that for several decades, and he provided some excellent materials for the mainframe. Okay, so now let's take a look at I'm going to share the screen with you guys, and let's take a look at, I added a tools page to the website, and I'll give you an update on our tools. Give you an update on our tools going forward. Okay, so let me share the screen. Okay, can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you haven't seen it before, this is our web page. And again, as I've said several times, I say this in each discussion where I share the website. These are 4 of our students at A&T, right? I love bragging on these kids because they are all hardworking and extremely bright. So from left to right is Jacinta Bailey. Beside her is Bria Richardson. Beside her is Akeem Brooks. Beside him is Sakani Hill. All 4 of these, and to the left of, to the right of Jacinta's shoulder is Shannon Sproul, who couldn't make it in the shot because, I'm not that much of a photographer. He got cut out of the shot. But all 5 of them have multiple job offers, right? Multiple job offers. I think Sakani has 5 in hand, offers in hand. Akeem Sakani's graduating. Akeem's a junior. He's got his pick. He's got, a stratospheric GPA, and he's got, I don't know how many job offers he has, but he's just looking for internships now. Bria's got 4 or 5 internship offers, as just Jacinta. So you're looking at yourself, even if you're not in the degree program, you are going to have the same options that these young people have. Let's go to the tools page. Okay, so a couple of these links don't work because I've got a code in to download stuff, and I'm an army of one in terms of system support, so bear with me. So many of you signed up for the Lead IT Forum, the PHP-based bulletin board. That is problematic, and it really isn't the right tool for us. It doesn't do some of the things I need to do. So I've taken it offline. I'm going to replace it with Moodle, right? Because Moodle does everything. Again, I don't have that link correct, so I got to go ahead and do something. So this is a tool called Moodle. I think it's alive. Yeah, it loads slow because it's in PHP. But so this is what's going to replace the forum, because it has a forum function that is much more flexible than the bulletin board that I was using previously. Now I have one of our team members she's volunteered to work on Moodle, and she sent me some feedback on what we need to do to get it good. It's ready to go, except the only thing is that we haven't quite been able to turn the self-registration function on. I want you guys to be able to go in and register yourselves instead of registering you one by one. So that's going to replace the PHP bulletin board. So that's that. Master the mainframe. Okay, master the mainframe. So I'm very pleased that a lot of you have signed up to master the mainframe and you're participating in it. But now, so if you've already signed up, that's fine. You know, this doesn't pertain to you. But if you haven't signed up, or if you don't finish part 2 before before December 31st, I want you to go to the learning system. Our learning system is exactly the same as Master Mainframe Contest, only it's not the contest. It's the same challenges, and you get the same credit for completing them. IBM gives you a badge upon completion of each part of Master the Mainframe, which really has cachet with the industry. The industry people that use mainframe all know about Master the Mainframe. So, and that goes from October 31st until August of next year. So that's what I want you to register for, if you haven't already registered for Master the Mainframe. And that is an essential part of. I mean, if you're serious about a mainframe job, right? If you're serious about a mainframe job, this is your ground zero. People say, well, where do I start? Right here on this site is where you start. Master the Mainframe. Nice Linux intro, right? So you can click on that link. That link works. W3 Schools. So I told you that programming is very essential. We'll talk a lot more or a little more about programming momentarily. But W3 Schools is a great place for you to get some coding basics. Many of you on the call already know how to do HTML. If you don't, you need to, okay? There's certain things that I tell my students at A&T that if you're in IT, certain things you just need to know. And HTML is one of them. And it's not hard, right? W3 Schools is a good place to learn this. Not to learn it here, but they have quizzes and they have, interactive learning. And then you can learn other languages like JavaScript, et cetera, PHP. And, my role now, I'm seeing, as an academic, my role is becoming less talking about technical specifics in courses, that it's becoming more being a facilitator of tools that are already out there, because there's some outstanding stuff. And my job is to tell you what you need to know and how you can learn what you need to know, okay? Instead of teaching it to you myself. And I can do that, but that's not efficient, right? It's only one of me, many of you. So I can only be in one place at a time. And I understand that, with the MOOCs and online learning and stuff, that expanded considerably. But a lot of you need to go out here and do some of this stuff on your own. The Linux intro. And Linux, let me say a little bit about Linux. Linux is essential, right, for an IT person. The Linux basics. And none of this stuff requires you to be an expert to get an entry-level job. But some familiarity with Linux is highly desirable. W3 School. CCNA. Many of you have asked about certification, right? And my response is always the same. All things being equal, certifications are better than not having a certification or certificate. But the companies know that just because you have a certificate, it doesn't mean you know how to do the thing, right? Just because you pass the test doesn't mean you know how to do it. So you do need some hands-on. But I found I've gone through several of these videos, and I found them to be an excellent place to pick up on some networking basics. The C download, this doesn't work for some reason. I've got to go in and code the downloading piece. And I'm becoming somewhat disenchanted with PHP. Python is spoiling me. I'll explain that statement momentarily. But yeah, so for right now, we don't need to fast forward to C. But that's going to be available very shortly. Intro to the information technology. This is another set of videos in conjunction with what Mike had. It's just not as information rich. It's more kind of pedestrian than Mike's. Mike's takes you a good bit further than these do. But it's a good place for you to start. This site that I found, this free code site, to me, the problem with this is, and this was sent by one of our community members, it's a good site and the materials are excellent. but it asks you to spend money too much. Now it says free code camp, but you certainly can use it free. But if you use it without paying for it, for some reason it's always asking you to purchase something, which I don't blame them. I mean, the guy says that we only have 3 people on staff, so we need donations, we need money. I get that, but the material itself is excellent. But that's the only caveat there, is that they're a bit avaricious in terms of how you progress through the site. VirtualBox, Linux is VirtualBox. So one of the things I had planned for last week was a demonstration of VirtualBox, and I probably will do that somewhere down the road. But for those who don't know, VirtualBox is a way for you to virtualize computing environments on your system. For example, if you have a Mac, right? If you have a Mac.
I have a Mac.
Okay.
I'm gonna order my stuff for my Mac too.
Yeah. But
that's gonna help me the most.
Yeah. But if you have a Mac, and you install VirtualBox on your Mac, so there's a version of VirtualBox for Mac, Windows, and Linux.
Okay. So come and put that thing in that computer.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second, y'all. Yeah, so if you have a Mac, and you can install VirtualBox, and then you can deploy Windows on your Mac. Now you can't do the converse, right? If you've got a Windows box, although technically you can do it, because I've seen students that do it. They call it Macintosh, right? But that is blatantly illegal. That is blatantly illegal. So I'm not going to encourage you to do that. Because why is it illegal? It's illegal because Mac says that Mac hardware is the only place where you can legally run Mac software. So that's what makes it illegal.
I can vouch for
yeah, but it can be done. I mean, I've seen it done. Students showed me that a couple of years ago. I said, boy, don't show that to anybody. They'll be trying to sue you. Let me ask everybody that's not talking. I can't find my mute all button for some reason. If you're not talking, please mute your microphone. I'm getting some background noise. Okay, so that's VirtualBox. Now, this module shows you how to set up VirtualBox and how to install Linux on your VirtualBox. It's very handy. There's several ways to deploy Linux on your system without actually physically overriding your hard drive. We'll go into those down the road. You can actually run Linux on a thumb drive, or there's something called a live CD that you can put in and run it that way. But a VirtualBox is another thing that no respectable IT person will not have on their computer, because it comes in handy in too many ways. And you need to learn about virtualization. Virtualization is a very important topic. Codecademy. Now, this is one of my favorites. I often mispronounce it. I often call it Code Academy. It's not Code Academy. It's Code Academy. That is the correct term. And this is where I'm refreshing my Python skills. So they have a wealth of information. Now, they ask for money too, but they're not as obtrusive about it, in my opinion. They're not as obtrusive as is the free code site. So those are our tools. Yeah, I found Codecademy to be very, very useful. So let's talk a little bit about Python. I put some Python. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't talk about the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel, and the activity is picking up gradually, slowly, but I realize it's going to take us a ways to get started. So every day I get another subscriber or two, and I believe in humble beginnings, but this is where at least all of our video material is, right? All of our video material. So I have the Python videos up here, right? And the link for that is on the website. The link for all of this stuff is on the website. Yeah, so I'll go through Python. Python, Mike and I are familiar with this language called Rex, which to me, is the easiest programming language ever invented, at least in terms of learning. But Python is now my favorite language. I'll tell you why. Rex used to be my favorite language. Python is my favorite language. It's, to me, a tie, or maybe Rex will get a slight nod in terms of ease of learning it, but Python is very easy to learn. Very easy to learn. Very easy to learn. And Python is object-oriented, although Rex has an object model also. You can make any language object-oriented. All you have to do is just write in the compiler, write classes and objects in the compiler. But Rex, natively is not object-oriented. Python is a very, very powerful language, but it's simple to learn. Give you an example. Unless they recompile the code, Firefox is written in Python. Give you an example of what it can do. Firefox is written in Python. Python is a very powerful language. And but Rex is also. Rex is very powerful. And so it just kind of becomes a religious argument about which is easier to learn, Rex or Python. And both of them are potentially very powerful. But Python is, in my opinion, Python is more pervasive. Now, Rex is pervasive in the mainframe world, but in the world at large, Python is becoming the language of choice for more and more people. Programming languages are a separate discussion. We will have that at some point in time. There's this language out there now called Swift that is getting a lot of adoption. Some of you may have heard of it, Swift. It is doing a lot of the things that the language that Apple uses to develop for the iDevices, iPhone, iPad, etc. Objective-C. Objective-C is the language they were using for that. Well, Objective-C can be a little cumbersome, right? It can be a little cumbersome. Swift is easy, right? Almost as easy as Python and object-oriented. So just so you know, from programming language standpoint, as programming languages evolve, they try to find easier and easier ways to do what a previous language did. So Java is an easier tool to use than C++, right? Or Smalltalk, or one of the other object-oriented languages. Well, Python is an easier way to do Java stuff. And each time you use you lose a little functionality, but it doesn't matter. The analogy I give my students is, I can buy a Ferrari to go from Greensboro to Durham. Greensboro to Burlington, where I live in Burlington, which is about 20 miles. I can buy a Ferrari to do that. I don't really need a Ferrari to do that, right? Will a Ferrari get me there? Yeah, Ferrari will get me there, right? But I'm probably gonna get locked up in the process, because a Ferrari goes 150, 200 miles an hour. I don't need to get to Greensboro 200 miles an hour, right? My Hyundai, my 2010 Hyundai Sonata is just fine. So in many cases, the easier language is a sufficient tool to use. So that's that. Let me see if there's anything else on the website. I'm going to turn it open to open Q&A momentarily. Yeah, so that's it for the website. Now let me see if I posted a job on here in the news section. I did not, so I will do that. Because the job description is on the bulletin board, but I killed the access to the bulletin board for a variety of reasons, so it's not up there anymore. Okay, so having said that, you folks that are on the phone, I don't think you can manually, if you can manually unmute your mic if you want to talk, maybe you can do that. But you people that have video, you can unmute your mic yourselves. And so we're open for Q&A. I'll unmute the people on the phone. Okay, so the people on the phone should be unmuted. All right, anybody got any questions? Hopefully you do. I know somebody got to ask some questions.
With actually looking at the, give me 1 second. The mainframe, what would you recommend to first starting off with to actually learning the mainframe?
Anybody want to answer that question on the phone? Anybody got any idea? Anybody got a clue where the first the starting point of learning mainframe is? Anybody?
Master the mainframe? Peter said master the mainframe competition.
That would be correct.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go to my chat because I usually have some questions in chat that I can't. Okay, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, they fixed it on the mainframe, and the only problem there is it.
You faded out for some reason, Mike. You faded out.
I am?
Yeah, you
Fading
faded
out.
out.
Okay. Not far, not close.
Oh, it wasn't that. For some reason, you're going in and out, and you're not on mute.
I know.
Mhm.
Well, anyway,
You're fine now.
that you can potentially make available to some of you. I'll let him talk.
He's losing
If he
signal.
actually do anything substantial.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's up, Mike. When you were talking earlier, you came through very clearly. It's not that you're not sitting close to the mic. Could be something going on in your area, something. I don't know. I don't know what's up.
Could be. Well, if it's not coming through, I guess I'll.
Well, I mean, you can type it. I mean, the people that have video can see it, and then I can say it to the folks that aren't on video. I got to go to my. Yeah, okay, here we go. So if you type it, Mike, I'll be glad to share your comments with everyone. So while he's typing that, anybody else have any questions?
How long would the apprenticeship process take to actually get screened?
Well, when you say screen, so well, what time frame are you talking about? From the time you submit put in your resume for a position?
Yeah.
Okay, so the process is we get your resume. So I only ask for let me back up. I'm gonna put a link up on the website where you can upload your resume. But let's just say you are applying for a position. You put your resume in for a position that is available. My team is going to review that resume and see if we feel, and then if we feel that it warrants us having an interview with you. And in most cases, that's going to be true. For right now, we're probably going to interview everybody that sends us a resume until we get so many that doesn't become feasible. Okay, and so we will have a half an hour interview with you, And based on that, we'll make a determination of whether or not to forward your resume to the company, right? And once they get the resume, if they decide to bring you in for an interview, either via Skype or fly you in to wherever they are, it's their call. Most companies are going to start with a Skype interview, and then if there's a second interview, they'll bring you in at their expense. Now, the time frame for that, I don't know. I'll just give you a ballpark. For example, for this job, they want to place this person as soon as possible. So we're probably going to send them resumes right after the first of the year, and they'll probably make a determination within a couple of weeks on who they want to interview and bring you in. And based on the results of that interview, let's say this is the final interview. Let's say you've interviewed twice. Then usually they make the decision within 2 weeks of whether or not to hire you. So I would say from the time that you submit your resume to you get a decision on whether or not you are selected for that position, it could be anywhere from 1 to 2 months to longer. But usually it's going to be in between 1 and 2 months that you will know whether or not you are selected for that position.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. In 2 months.
Anyone else? Okay, so I'm getting one in chat. Well, yeah, and I'll read you the question verbatim. Have you found any age bias in this process? I am 48. Yeah, yeah. But see, biases are things that are very subtle, and we've all got biases, right? I've got biases, right? I've got a bias against stupid people. So we've got biases, right? And sometimes I may think somebody's stupid, and they're really not stupid at all. They're quite bright, right? So we've got biases. Now, specifically to your question, that's answering it, in kind of a global manner. But specifically, when you talk about age, one thing I'm pretty sure of is that people don't get certain interviews because of their age. One of the things I know is that we will not share your age information with an employer. Okay, they know that. We're not going to share that. We're not going to share anything about you other than we feel that you are qualified to be an apprentice with that company. That's it. Not even your gender, right? Now, but now they have a right to look at your resume, right? Mm-hmm. They're not just going to say, well, just send us whoever. They're going to look at your resume. One of the things that I can tell you is that one of the things that won't disqualify you in your resume is a lack of educational background, a lack of IT-related job experience. That's not going to disqualify you. And that's our agreement with the company, that we made a determination that this person is qualified for an apprenticeship. If you have information that identifies your age on the resume, that's on you. But we're not going to tell them how old you are. Now, when they interview you, they're going to give an idea of how old you are, particularly if the interview's in person. Which eventually they're probably going to want to have a face-to-face with you before they hire you. Okay. And they may make determination. We don't want to hire somebody that old. I can't say. And there's nothing you can do about it unless you can prove that they are not interviewing you because of your age. But I will tell you this: I have placed many students. I won't say many students, but I want to be accurate. I've placed several students. No, I placed many students in their. Well, I placed many students in their 40s. I've placed students as old as 50 years old. And, well, I've not placed them, but I've been a part of their placement in IT because the need is so acute, so acute. I know one of my former students, and I didn't have anything to do with this, he did this on his own. He just got a job with Apple at the age of 54. Now, Apple, 5% of, he found the data, 5% of Apple's new hires are over 55%. That means there's a lot of 50-year-olds that don't get interviews with Apple, right? But he beat the curve. So it's all, but his background's impeccable. So I had a student one time that was did a career in the military, and he came to my program at North Carolina Central, really bright guy. And he got put on at 47 with a bank, in mainframe, with a bank. So I can't say that it's not going to, you're not going to miss interviews because of your age, but I can say that that's not going to ultimately determine whether or not you do or do not get an IT job. That's going to be on you. And if you got the wherewithal to get your skill set where it needs to be, or if your skill set is already where it needs to be, then it's not going to stop you. It may slow you down a bit, but it's not going to stop you. I hope that's the most comprehensive way I can answer that question. Karen, do you have anything, or Karen or Mike, you guys have anything to add to that in your experience? I think Mike's having some mic trouble. Karen, you have anything to add on that? She may be off. Yes, she dropped off. But that is the most comprehensive answer I can answer. Now, let me share with you Mike's comments. He says that beyond master the mainframe, one needs a connection to the mainframe system to be able to master the tools needed to be an efficient user of a mainframe system. I don't know to what degree you can supply these to the apprentices via the Marist or Dallas system. Those are two systems we work on. So Mike's point is that, you can't do mainframe. You can't learn mainframe without a mainframe. Very good, very valid point. And our mainframe at A&T now is not dead, but it's inoperable because our storage is all screwed up. And I don't have any money to pay anybody to fix it. So, but we have access to systems. So you will have access to the Dallas system while you participate in either master the mainframe or the learning system. You will have access to them. Those are two systems you have on. We have access to other systems, but I have access to the Marist system, and I can give you an account on the Marist system, so you can use that as a sandbox. The only problem with those systems are we don't manage them, so we can't do some of the clever things that we used to do on the A&T system, like give everybody their own virtual machine where they could do systems level mainframe stuff. You can't do that at either Marist or Dallas. So until we can, and I see Mike nodding his head, until we can, you're gonna be limited to what they'll let you do. But you can learn the basics, right? You can learn the basics. So that is a way that you can do this. So we will provide, and we're gonna have access to systems. So while it's a concern, I don't think it's gonna be a long-term concern. Peter has a comment. You may have missed that one, Peter. He asked about the mainframe position. So yeah, IBM is finalizing its employer agreement for companies, and then companies are going to use that employer agreement to create mainframe apprenticeships, right? And that's going to happen sometime in Q1 of 2018. And everybody needs mainframes. Everybody does. Every state in the union is dependent on mainframe. Every big bank, every big insurance company, every big large government agency, etc. Right? So that's the answer to that. You're welcome, Peter. So we're coming up to 8:59. Yeah, I don't like to run over an hour because send me your questions via email. We'll get Moodle up and running. The educational site, we'll get it up and running ASAP, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. We won't meet next week, but we will meet the following week, January 3rd at 8 p.m. We're gaining ground, people. This is going to be a very powerful community, and the best, without question, is yet to come. I want to thank everybody for their participation tonight. I want to thank everybody for their enthusiasm. I'm excited about this. I love teaching this stuff, and I couldn't be more pleased with where we are right now, even with no money. So it's tough, but what ain't tough? What ain't tough in life? This is a gut check. This is gut check time. How bad do you want it? I want it bad. I want this stuff bad for you guys because I got a job. I got a job. I got a good job. But I want you guys to take the benefit of what I've learned about IT and build careers for yourselves and have nice houses and nice cars and all that nice good stuff and a job that you're excited about going to every day. So I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Have a Merry Christmas.
All right, man. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.